When Black Bolt and White Flare come to Pokemon TCG Live on Thursday, July 17th, 2 free decks will immediately be given to players as part of the new Battle Pass. As your favorite handsome PTCGL YouTuber predicted, they'll feature Zekrom EX and Reshiram EX. Plus, in mid-August, a Jellicent TX deck will be given away during Worlds, because we all know that the 3 legendaries of Unova are Reshiram, Zekrom, and Jellicent. For this Battle Pass only, both of the decks will be given out at Tier 0. Assuming they continue things as normal, the decks will be free as soon as you log into TCG Live for the first time between July 17th and September 25th. The bonus here is that if you already own 4 copies of any of the cards in the list, the excess will be converted to trade credits. I didn't do perfect math, but you should have 4 copies of most trainers in the decks already thanks to the 2025 free decks, meaning you'll get around 1,000 credits for doing absolutely nothing so long as they keep things as they were. For the Reshiram list, it isn't terrible, just suboptimal. A 3-1-2 Emboar line is fine, though you might want to add a second Pignite. 2 Reshiram's perfect, Gouging Fire EX and Iron Hands EX are your backup attackers, and Revavroom helps continue drawing cards. Because Revavroom discards energy with its ability, Levincia is there to recover lightning energy, which is a little weird since the deck only plays 2 copies. Maxrod as the A-Spec also doesn't seem particularly great since you already have Night Stretcher and Superior Energy Retrieval as recovery. For a quick overview of the strategy, Emboar accelerates all fire energy from hand into play. If that sounds familiar, it's because the ability is the exact same as Backed Calibur's except on a fire type. But whereas Backed Calibur has Chien-Pao, Emboar has Reshiram, who is sadly inferior, not superior. Lacking any sort of ability, Reshiram is practically useless at the start of a game, dealing just 130 damage for 3 energy and discarding 1 energy in the process. But as the game goes on, Blazing Burst does 50 more damage for each prize card your opponent's taken. So 130 can become 280, 330, or even 380 if they have 1 prize card remaining, making it a great card to KO Stage 2's late. Early on in the game, you'll use Iron Hands EX to KO low HP Pokemon and take 2 prizes, while Gouging Fire can deal 260 for 3 energy. Though that number is a bit awkward, like when your Tinder date finds your Vaporeon Love Doll, as 260 isn't really one-shotting any meaningful evolved Pokemon. It's mostly just there for naked Raging Bolts and Ursaluna. If you want to make some quick, cheap upgrades to your free Reshiram Emboar deck, I suggest removing unnecessary cards like Levincia and the second Gouging Fire. Mew EX is already in your collection, which is a great inclusion since it attacks for colorless energy. Regigigas is awesome, allowing you to one-shot Dragapult EX for 4 energy on a single prizer. And Cleffa is a great break in case of emergency card, drawing you up to 7 for free. If Cleffa's not your choice, go with Squawkabilly EX instead for a better turn 1. As for the A-Spec, Maxrod's fine, but where Chien-Pao might be discarding 6 energy per turn with its attack, Reshiram's only discarding 1 or 3 if it gets knocked out. You have 2 Superior Energy Retrieval for energy recovery with 2 Night Stretcher for Pokemon recovery. That should be enough to carry you through the game. I'd suggest either Prime Catcher or Precious Trolley as the A-Spec, since Prime Catcher is both a Gust and a Switch, while Precious Trolley fills up your bench and is Arven searchable. Because some of the cards are already in your collection, it should only take around 500 credits to upgrade your free Reshiram EX deck into what you see here. I'll put a list in the description so you can easily copy and paste it into Live once July 17th rolls around. While the Pokemon Company is continuing their streak of not telling us what they are or when we get them, the Black Bolt and White Flare Battle Pass will add 16 additional cards for the Reshiram Emboar deck. Based on past experience, it'll be a mix of new arts for Reshiram and Emboar plus hyper rare versions of old cards, but we'll have to wait until next week to be sure. Of course, if you watched my old decks with new cards video for Black Bolt and White Flare, you'll know that throwing a copy of Reshiram into your Ho-Oh Armarouge deck is the best way to utilize the vast white Pokemon. Moving to Zekrom EX, which is also available at Tier 0, they went a little overboard on some of the cards. That's the bad news. The good news is that you get 2 Zekrom plus a full 4/4 line of Electric when you only actually need a 2/2 line. The 2 Miraidon are welcome, so is the 1 Iron Hands, and 4 Electric Generator mean you can accelerate those 14 lightning energy into play from deck early, then from the discard pile late with Electric. Featuring pretty much the same attack as Reshiram, Zekrom does 130 base damage for 3 energy. Except instead of discarding energy, it punches itself in the face for 30. Because the damage increases by 50 for each prize card your opponent's taken, that means Zekrom's dealing 280, 330, or 380 the more they beat you off. Similar to Reshiram, you want to attack with Iron Hands early to take KOs, using Miraidon's ability to fill up your bench with basic lightning types. Unlike Emboar, which is a stage 2 that takes energy from hand, Electric is a stage 1 that accelerates from the discard pile. And thanks to Jenny, this deck's a lot faster, as you can potentially get 4 energy on an Iron Hands turn 1, take 2 prizes, and put them on the back foot. As for the rest of the list, look, I get why Kilowattrel is here. If you discard an energy attached to Kilowattrel, it draws you up to 6. But if you're using Electric to accelerate energy to the bird every turn, you're not using Electric to accelerate energy to your attackers. And with Zekrom putting itself down to 200 hit points after attacking, you have to assume your opponent's knocking out one of your 2 prizers every turn. So it's much easier to ditch the 2.2 pound Wattrel in favor of things like Mew EX, Fezandipiti EX, and Squawkabilly EX, because you want this deck to go faster than Sonic. The upgraded version is fairly straightforward. I'll have my Black Bolt and White Flare new decks video up soon detailing all the improvements, but for now, this is what you want to do. Because Mew, Fezandipiti, and Squawkabilly are already in your collection, add those. Thanks to these free decks, you also own 2 copies of Iron Hand Sex. I did leave Electric at a 3-3 line so you can learn the deck, but YOLOing it at 2-2 is the way to go. If my math is correct, this deck should cost nothing to import and play on live. One card that could be very important here is Zeraora. For 3 Lightning Energy, it snipes a bench Pokemon EX for 210. That's one-shotting Mew, Fezandipiti, Latias, and Squawkabilly. The only downside is that you have to discard all attached energy, and a Terra like Teal Masked Ogerpon has a built-in bench barrier. For some flex cards, Latias allows you to freely retreat any basic Pokemon, though it does become a liability if they have any way to trap it since Latias can't attack here. And Magneton allows you to put more energy into play while also forcing them to take a prize, which pumps up Zekrom's attack by 50. Just like Reshiram, we don't know what the additional 16 cards later on in the Battle Pass will be that can be used to improve Zekrom. What we do know is that you'll get a copy of this Reshiram EX and a copy of this Zekrom EX at some point in the Battle Pass. Along with these, expect the usual packs, trainer points, trade credits, deck cosmetics, and collector crates as you level up. With the free decks now known, I can update my Black Bolt and White Flare crafting guide. Before this, it was around 8,700 credits to get all the best new cards, of which there's very few. Removing Reshiram, Air Balloon, Emboar, 1 Pignite, 3 Tepig, 2 Zekrom, 2 Dynamo, and 2 Electric, the crafting cost drops to a measly 5,400 credits. I won't do any sort of updating to my old list because that would require effort, but with the free Zekrom deck including 2 copies of Miraidon, the Miraidon EX lead battle deck gets slightly more enticing as a way to credit farm. Instead of staring at this confusing list until you get cross-eyed, prep your brain for a whole heap of fun PTCGL news. A new set means a new patch. And when Black Bolt and White Flare come out on Thursday, Pokemon TCG Live is going to look a little different. For starters, the Team Rocket theme will be gone, replaced with special effects when Reshiram and Zekrom are played. Additionally, logging into Live at any point before October 14th will see you getting 2,000 trade credits and 2,000 trainer points, along with SIR copies of Reshiram and Zekrom. Then if you log into Live between August 14th and 28th, which coincides with Worlds, you'll get a Jellicent EX deck, 2,000 more trade credits and trainer points, and some Pikachu avatar items. I don't think waiting a month for Jellicent is worth it, so just craft a 2-2 line when the sets are out using your free credits. In terms of new features, Live is finally getting a collection viewer after nearly 3.5 years. This is of course something that PTCGO and the Card Decks app had before Live consumed them like it's a zombie feasting on brains, except it took Live years to actually do anything with them. Regardless, a Card Decks is coming, and it seems like it'll be more like a digital binder showing off which cards you own and which cards you're missing. According to the announcement, you'll be able to sort cards by date acquired, and new cards will have a new tag on them when seeing them for the first time. For whatever reason, Black Star promos and alternate arts won't be supported at launch on the Card Decks, and no details will be given on whether or not we'll be able to filter by retreat cost or attack cost like we could on PTCGO. Another big change has to do with booster packs. Up until now, if you redeemed a code for a 10-card booster, you'd only end up with 5 or 6 cards, depending on the generation. Starting on Thursday, all 10-card packs will now offer 10 cards. While this seems like it massively punishes people who redeemed codes in the past, realistically you'll only be able to pull commons and uncommons faster as each pack already had a reverse holo and a rare. So you might only get a boost of 20 to 40 credits per pack, and that'll really only happen after opening like 100 packs of a set. Then there's the Battle Pass, which for Black Bolt and White Flare will be a record 100 tiers. They're updating the amount of XP you earn from quests and battles, meaning it should be easier to finish the Battle Pass quickly. Though, considering that Mega Evolution doesn't arrive until the end of September, it wasn't going to be much of an issue for even casual players. They also teased the limited time items in the shop, so make sure you're following me on Twitter or Twitch for details as they come. Unfortunately, they couldn't let it all be good news. Despite players absolutely hating being bumped down to Nest League with every ladder reset, that's going to keep happening. I've read this portion of the letter multiple times, and it really seems like they used a lot of words to say that nothing's changing. As per usual, PTCGL will be down for 8 hours of maintenance on Tuesday, July 15th to apply the new patch. The changes won't actually happen until Thursday though, so keep that in mind. If you were expecting massive improvements to the core game and fixes to issues we've been experiencing for years, well, this is still PTCGL. Of course they aren't there. Instead, it's just a fix to Dragapult placing damage counters when there were no bench Pokemon, and Cynthia's Darkshot forcing you to draw cards when it should have been a choice. I know this was a lot to take in, so to quickly wrap up, free Reshiram and Zekrom decks right away on Thursday. A new card viewer also on Thursday. More cards in booster packs, a 100-tier battle pass, and lots of rewards for logging in over the next few weeks. Before I go, here's a quick look at the trainer trial schedule through September. Despite the Pokemon Company constantly asking us for new ideas, they're just rehashing old ones again. I've been begging for draw 13, choose 7, and shuffle the rest into the prizes, but I'm starting to think that's never actually going to happen.